Guys, MobLand is about to launch its cross-chain seed generation app. Why should you care? Well, glad you asked, because we're about to see the first wave of a new generation of blockchain economies. And I'm about to show you how you can ride it. First things first, play to earn sucks, or at least it did. The MobLand crew is well aware of the myriad of issues that plague the first generation of crypto games. Everything you're about to learn about is in service of creating a sustainable ecosystem that can lead to successful participation for users for years to come. So let's dive in. On October 10th, the Monday following the release of this video, MobLand is unleashing its cross-chain seed generation app. How you approach this and what this really means for you will depend on what assets you own or plan to own. You can use the timestamps below to jump to the section that's most relevant to you, if you're that guy. Seed is a fundamental cross-chain token that will fuel much of MobLand's in-game economy, being necessary for the creation of other commodities that are consumed in-game, such as BUD, which is needed to upgrade in-game items such as characters and the upcoming weed farms and turf. Seed will also be used to pay taxes to the Mafia and to rent and lend various assets within the game, denominating the contracts, and to engage in PvP combat. If you're planning on building wealth and growing your empire within MobLand, you're gonna want Seed. Let's start with Sinner, which is the main token of the MobLand ecosystem that's on Ethereum, and it'll be staked there to power the generation of seed on BNB chain. If you already own Sinner, you may have some of it staked in the core Sinner pool that was released earlier this year. And it's important to remember that this is actually a separate pool from the one being released on Monday, which is the seed generator pool. If you have unclaimed rewards from the core Sinner pool, you can claim them as either Sinner or S-Sinner. But for the purposes of generating seed, you're gonna wanna claim them as S-Sinner to avoid the vesting period that comes along with claiming Sinner. S-Sinner can be immediately deployed into the seed generator pool where it will be consumed, and after a month-long germination period, seed will be returned to you at a ratio of 13.8 seed for every 1 S-Sinner. Now keep in mind there will be a decay on this ratio after the first week of launch, so it kind of makes sense to get your together before then. Now, if you don't have any Sinner yet, you're probably gonna wanna grab some, and I'll show you where you can do that at the end of this video. And again, if you want seed, you're gonna have to stake it in the seed generator pool. If you're thinking, oh boy, this is complicated and there's a lot of decisions to be made here, well, buckle up. In the seed generator app, you can stake Sinner to produce seed at a ratio of up to 20 seed per Sinner. But there's some caveats here. That ratio depends on how long you're willing to lock up that Sinner. If you lock it up for an entire year, you get that 20-to-1 ratio. If you want to lock it up for only 16 weeks, well, you get a 13-to-1 ratio. And in either case, that Sinner is locked up. If you have both Sinner and S-Sinner, it's going to be important to understand there's some major differences between staking Sinner for seed and swapping S-Sinner for seed. Which is the right choice will be a matter of your timeline. Let's go over an example. A full year of staking 10K Sinner will net you 200K seed over that year, or roughly 17K seed after a month. Whereas swapping 10K S-Sinner for seed will get you 138K seed after only 1 month. If you're watching this a month removed from launch or after, this ratio will decay to 7 seed per S-Sinner, or 70K seed after a month. So I hope you're writing this down. All right, so that's what you need to know for Sinner and S-Sinner. Now let's talk non-fungibles, baby. Thankfully, it's a little easier to figure out what's going on here, and what you'll wanna do will kind of depend on how much Sinner you own. If you have no Sinner, you're left with slightly less efficient options, but you can still participate in a big way. Let's start with blueprints, because that's what most of you peasants own, right? Your Genesis blueprint can be staked and will represent the equivalent of 10K Sinner tokens. i.e. it will be able to generate 200K seed over the course of an entire year, just like you could with 10K Sinner. With the same dynamic of having increased weight depending on how long you're willing to stake it for. But this is locked in. Let me repeat that. This is locked in. If you stake your blueprint for an entire year to generate 200K seed, you will not be able to use that blueprint in the PvP upcoming without paying a pretty hefty Mafia tax of 40%. If you have Sinner and a blueprint, you can use that blueprint to multiply the seed yield by 2 times on your staked Sinner up to 20K Sinner. So to put it more simply, you can get twice as much seed generating utility out of your blueprint if you stake it as a multiplier on Sinner that you have staked. Plus, this gives you the flexibility of being able to unstake the blueprint at any time without paying a penalty. The Sinner Pass has a similar relationship with the seed generator app that the blueprint does, if it were on steroids, and those steroids were on steroids, cooked by Walter White. If you want to maximize seed production, you can't do much better than this gem. A lone Sinner Pass staked into the seed generator app without any Sinner will represent the equivalent of 180,000 Sinner in the pool, which, if you don't feel like doing the math, is 18 times that of a blueprint.
Oh, tight, yeah!
But again, it has the same dynamic as the blueprint here, where the ratio of return will depend on how long you're willing to lock it up for. If you have a lot of Sinner, you can stake your Sinner Pass as a multiplier on that Sinner to double the seed generation up to 360,000 Sinner. So put another way, if you already have 360,000 Sinner, then having a Sinner Pass will literally double your seed output on that. And you can unstake that Sinner Pass at any time. So for you whales out there, this is the way to go. This will depend on a variety of factors, and the economic decision-making and complexity of the game theory here is actually the entire point. This isn't a play-to-earn game where you stake your PFP to print cheese tokens to feed your rat. This is setting up the foundation for an entire digital in-game economy. There are no solutions, only trade-offs. If you don't have Sinner and don't want to buy any, well then in order to participate, you must stake blueprints or Sinner Pass and actually lock them up. If you'd rather use blueprints and the Sinner Pass as a multiplier, that way you have increased efficiency and you maintain the flexibility of being able to unstake whenever you want, well that means you have to buy and stake Sinner. And if you'd rather stake none of the above, then the only way to get seed is by swapping it with S-Sinner. But in order to get S-Sinner, you have to have staked Sinner in the core pool. This is the beauty of the economy they're creating because you have to really weigh the opportunity costs, just like in the real world. This is why it's very important to understand what your goals are within MobLand. If you're planning on playing the game a lot and grinding your way to the top, then you probably own or are going to want to own blueprints. But you might want to top up with some Sinner as well. That way you can utilize your blueprints within the seed generation economy and be able to pull them out whenever you need to, like if you want to use them in combat later. And speaking of the future, we don't yet have weed farms or turf operational, but that's coming soon. And not only is seed going to be necessary for a lot of the function of these assets, but you can also get a whitelist spot by participating in the seed generation app. There's a link below with a Medium article detailing how you can do that. Sinner is currently available to purchase at these exchanges. You can buy Genesis Blueprint characters from Binance or from the MobLand internal marketplace. And you can buy a Sinner Pass on OpenSea. To avoid getting scammed, always follow the official links found in the Discord. All right, guys, that's it from me. The rest, well, that's gonna be up to you. So put on your thinking caps, or better yet, a fedora. If you found this useful, leave a like and subscribe, because it's our mission to onboard and educate members into Web3 ecosystems so that they can succeed in long term. And we're just getting started. I've been Cyan, and shout out to some of my friends at the roundtable who helped make this video possible. Till next time.